What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another 1/6 scale figure unboxing. And this week we have a couple of third-party figures to be unboxed. One is a Game of Thrones figure that came out yesterday to go along with A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms final episode that should be coming out Sunday night. So this figure unboxing should be coming out Sunday, or maybe I'll flip them and put the Game of Thrones figure unboxed on Sunday and put this one on Saturday. But either way, two third-party figures getting unboxed this weekend. And today, if you've seen the title and thumbnail, and I'm sure you have, we're unboxing God of War from One Toys, and it says Diad with D-E-I, I think that's an omega symbol, and then I-D-E in Diad, and whatever that means, Diad. Ragnarok on the bottom of the box, and then some Chinese lettering on the right there. Maybe this is like a Best in Show or something toy that they won at some festival. It says Adult Collectible 1/6 Scale Collectible Figure. It's got One Toys 2024 figure. There's recommended ages 15 and up because of small choking hazards. Yeah, some legal information, made in China around the back. Not too much else going on with this box, but you can see Kratos on the front of that box there, and Kratos, my guy. Oh, God of War is such a legendary character, legendary video games, and now Amazon is making them into a TV show with Ryan Hurst, who I know best as Gary Bertier from Remember the Titans. He's going to be playing God of War, and he also voiced Thor in the God of War Ragnarok video game. So very exciting stuff. But hopefully God of War can get made into some more figures, either by One Toys, maybe they make Thor or Odin from those games, maybe Atreus as well. But hopefully eventually God of War can get made into some figures from like Hot Toys and maybe InArt or one of those bigger companies that really strive and do well. But I've never gotten a One Toys figure before, so I guess we'll see how they do. And let's pull this bad boy up out of the box and see what we're working with. Ooh. Around the back of the box they have a red shield and his axe and Mimir's head and the blades of glory and the chains going all over, and the Dropnir spear as well, and then some yellow in the background, but like the red looks incredible. And then on the side of the box more of that yellow detail, and then onto the front we have the shield logo here and like gold detailing, and like definitely one of the more beautiful, bigger, thicker boxes I've seen. And I believe this opens up like so, and then this just kind of pops out. Oh, are you guys seeing this? So you open it, and as you pull it open, it pulls itself out. That's cool. I've never seen a box look this cool. And then it presents the Dropnir spear and like the shield on top and his weapons. Oh my god, this is cool. Yeah, I gotta take all this out and really appreciate this. But like, guys, come on now. Like, that's what you see when you first open up the box, is the shield and then the other weapons it comes with. Like the spears, the axe, oh god, I love this character so much. He looks so goddamn cool. Oh, and the body, it smells like real leather in here as well. Oh yeah, that's a good smell. Yep, I love it. I love it already. Haven't even pulled it out of the box, but let me take Kratos here up out of the box and see what my first impression is. Oh my god, is this cool. He comes with a screaming head sculpt. He comes with Mimir. Oh my god, he looks so good. Oh god, the little fur around the chest armor. There is a seam up front there, but not the biggest deal, because you also can see a little bit of the scarring on his stomach, which I believe is when he got his own sword or his father's sword stuffed through his chest and died, or he killed himself or something to be able to kill his father. I don't know. The God of War story is very interesting and long, and ooh, very nice. The tassels, this outfit is really something, and this figure is so girthy in like the presence on him already. My goodness, I mean, yeah, what a cool design for a character. He's the ghost of Sparta, so his skin is like a ghostly white, and then he's got this red tattoo that like starts from the eye and goes all the way around and circles onto his bicep. Like, It's so cool, man. Oh, God. And he comes with a big fur cape. He comes with weapons. He comes with Mimir. He comes with a swap-out head sculpt. Oh, I can't say enough good things about this. One Toys, I am sadly mistaken. I didn't want to talk shit about you because I hadn't experienced any of your figures yet. But also, I haven't heard of any of your figures other than this God of War. So if this is my one and only One Toys figure, I'm not mad at it at all. I mean, sure, there's a shoulder seam and there's certain seams some places, but if you put the cloak on him, that should cover it all up, and theoretically this should be a beast of a figure and so much presence. My goodness. If they make the Thor or Atreus or Odin from the game from Thor Ragnarok, I'm definitely gonna have to cop those to go alongside Kratos here, because he's a beast. Beefy calves, beefy body. He's big. Like, yeah, this is a cool figure. And the cloak he comes with is like a furred black bear pelt. That's cool as well. That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to show you all this. So what we're going to do next is pull out all of his accessories, lay them out on the desk in front of me here, and take a closer look at everything that God of War Kratos from God of War Ragnarok from One Toys has to offer. Oh, right, everybody. We have One Toys Deicide is what I think that's supposed to say. Deicide Ragnarok. Now, what does that mean? I have no idea, but we all know that this is God of War Kratos from the God of War 2018 video game. Not necessarily even his look from Ragnarok, but I guess with the black cloak, maybe it is the opening scene from Ragnarok, I guess, and with the weapons, I guess this is Ragnarok. But just starting out with some of those weapons up front here, we have the Blades of Chaos. And each Blade of Chaos has a big old chain that you can wrap around either forearm, although the forearms don't have the chain scars that they're supposed to when he wields these. These are supposed to be embedded or like branded into his skin from using these. And these are like level 1 blades, where I probably would have used a later, level of this. Same with the sword or even the armor. Why go with the level 1 stuff? It is what it is. Still looks pretty cool, pretty highly detailed. Not necessarily an accessory I'm going to use, permanently for him, but I'll definitely have it over on the base near him, and, just a God of War accessory. But these remind me more of the first 3 God of War video games, the OG trilogy, rather than the later games. The axe is more his weapon of choice in the later games than the Blades of Chaos, although these do make a comeback in the later games and do have a purpose and ferocious use that he gets out of these. And man, oh man, are they weapons of pure chaos. But I wish he could store them on his back or something like he does in the game, but no. So yeah, I'll probably just have these down by the base. But probably the coolest weapon he comes with is that spear. And the spear is quite massive and it has this string that wraps around going all the way down. But you can see the detail up top there, just the horns there. What is that, like Odin or something? I don't know. But little blades. I believe this is supposed to be like Odin's spear from like mythology, but I believe this is called like the Dropnir spear or something, and it comes out of his ring that is on all of his right hands in the game. And yeah, very good weapon in the game, very cool, a very good addition to the second Ragnarok video game. Awesome. We'll get back to that axe in a moment, but over here we have his shield in the collapsed down version, and this little ring goes around one of his arms, and then instead of just having, this whole thing have 2 different clips, you just swap out the clip, and then you can put on either the collapsed version of his shield or the big version of the shield, and you can see kind of how it collapses down in its collapsed version versus when it's fully open. And this does have some weight to it. It does feel pretty substantial. Not die cast, but very, very good sculpt work and very, substantial piece here. Kind of quite heavy. So maybe not an accessory I'll have on him permanently, but it's definitely cool that it's thrown in there, and like even detail on the underside of it. And this is stuff that you probably wouldn't see, but very cool nonetheless, and a great thing from the game. You know, every time you hit that L1, this pops out and you can even punch people with it. Very cool accessory. But now his last weapon, that axe, and the Leviathan axe looks really good. Not sharp or anything, or not like die cast. I feel like they probably could have been, but the detail on that is still pretty good, and they probably could have thrown in a second Leviathan axe, but fully iced out in its like frozen form, if you guys know from the games. But such a cool axe, and something that like you probably could do over like a period of time yourself, and like cut out that piece of wood and engrave it and like make this little Viking symbol in the handle, like, and then tie the ropes around it to give it like a spot to grab it or wield it from. But man, oh man, what a cool weapon, and like such a big guy deserves such a heavy axe to chop people up with. And you know, just from looking at this figure, I think I want to go back and replay the God of War and God of War Ragnarok video games so badly. And I guess we'll just look at this cape before we get into the head sculpts. And the cape, I believe, just kind of slips on over his head, and maybe this tucks in here or something. I'll have to read the instructions in a moment. Or actually, there is no instructions for this, so I'll have to just see how it goes, maybe look up a video online. But if I had to guess, I would guess one arm goes through there, maybe this gets tucked in there, his head pops out, and then his other arm comes out this side. But you know, maybe it's like that. I mean, it's over the top, but no, I think you want to show off that leather strap. So I'm thinking that's the way to go right there. Have it tucked in, head through there, one arm through this side, plops up right over the top, and you get this like black wolf fur as his little cape. Not bad. I'm definitely going to have him wearing that just to cover up that shoulder seam for the most part. And yeah, I think it will work out great. But we'll take a look at Kratos with that cape on in the posing segment coming up. But just to look at some of those hands he comes with. Comes with two kind of grabbing / gripping hands, or, you know, just splayed out hands. Maybe he's choking you, maybe he's grabbing something. But you can see like the armor and then like the little bit of red strap underneath the armor just to give it a little bit of color. And then on the right hands, he has that ring for the drop near spear. For a second, I was like, oh, is that his wedding ring? But no, I don't think so. I think that's for the spear. And yeah, two fist hands as well. And the right hand still has the ring on it, but pretty good detailed on the hands. It's just so crazy that like he's got these ghostly white hands, like even whiter than my white, you know, like the ghost of Sparta, and the whole story behind his skin and the tattoo. And like, I don't know, the writing on like the character of Kratos is just unbelievable. But then he comes with two grabbing hands for the spear and for the axe, and for maybe Mimir's head there you can hold or something. I'm going to try that out in a pose in a minute here. That's why his head's not tied onto his waist. But, you know, not too many hands. And then he comes with two relaxed hands that come on the figure, but we'll take a closer look at him in a moment. But just to look at Mimir's head sculpt. And Mimir will tie on to the belt at some point as well. So that's what those two strings are for. And he has that stumpy neck from getting chopped off, and it's kind of gross that you could see like a spinal column in there. Like, that's gross. And like maybe the beard could look a little bit more realistic, but I don't know, I think it looks pretty damn good with the gold rings in it, the gold little clasp on either side of the mustache, the little points down here, the waviness of it. But like, it just looks a little bit like a sculpted piece, like almost like a sculpture, where the actual Mimir himself up here, that skin texture looks like a real friggin' dude, and the gold glowing eyes and the gold horns and like the tattoos all around his head. So cool. Such a cool character. And just so funny that like Mimir's head is just bouncing on your hip the whole game as you're fighting people. You just see his head just, ah, if I had a stomach, I would get sick. Oh, Mimir, such a good character. God. And he tells such good stories, and he has such a good voice that when he comes around in the game, like again, you know, and he gets both eyes and he stays around. God, I love Mimir. Such a good character. God, I'm going to have to really go play that video game again. But this screaming head sculpt looks really good, and we will try it out on the body. But like the tongue, the teeth, the scar over the eye, the angry eyebrows, the vein work in the head going through the tattoo because of how angry he is. Yeah, like that just looks incredible, and it fits on the head, and you know, does its own thing. And the only other accessory that I didn't really talk about is it comes with an extra little neck connector, I think, or maybe that's for this head sculpt. I don't know. This thing doesn't come with instructions. But just to look at that base in the figure, he comes with just a normal crotch grabber and the Deicide base there, and it says Deicide Ragnarok, but it does have a drawer, so if you wanted to toss your extra hands or, you know, extra accessories in there, a type of accessory for bases that they should use more often. You know, if it's got a base like this and it's thick enough and this is just hollow anyways, toss a little drawer in there so you can stuff your accessories in there, not have to leave them in the box. I feel like that's a nice little touch there, a nice little feature to this base, although the rest of it is kind of shite. But, you know, that I guess that resembles the world between worlds or wherever they go to, like, what's that guy's? He's like a little blacksmith's tree or something in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. I really do have to replay those games. It's been a while. Maybe Sindri or Brock's house or something. I don't know. I might have pulled that out of my ass. But not a bad base, but at least it comes with a crotch grabber. But just to look at that figure himself up close and personal, the boots will start down here. The boots look really weathered and like feel like sturdy plastic sculpt. Knee pads, the pants feel so weathered. You could see like little red shavings from the tassels there peeling off, which I guess will look more realistic over time, but is making a mess at the current moment. So don't want to mess with those too much because you don't want them peeling off like that. So yeah, I'm going to try and keep those in the best condition I can. You can see that gold ring on the right hand, of course, some gauntlets, the leather pleather detailing on the bicep there, into the chest armor, and then the little skirt on the front here. This plastic piece you would tie Mimir over on the right side here, and I've already tied his wife's ashes, or maybe this is like a coin bag or something, and his knife on the back. And, you know, pain in the ass to tie on there, but, you know, the strings maybe you could tuck, you know, so they're not so loose, but I don't mind that. I think it looks more realistic. But why do we have to do that ourselves? I think you guys could have tied that on for us and not made us do more work. But around back, you can see the tattoo going around. Maybe the red is a little bit lighter on the body than on the head sculpts, but I guess not that big a deal, or maybe not that noticeable just on camera. But you can see the little logo here, this like a, what is that, Omega symbol? But this is also the holder for his axe on his back, little faux fur around the edge of it there. Another little piece on top of the armor up there. But I love how he's got armor, but yet still so much of his body is exposed. Like, yeah, he's got armor and stuff that he's wearing, but he's really just covering his junk and like maybe his heart. He's like, yeah, I'll take a shot in the chest or the arm. I'll be good. And he's like just protecting his swinging arm. Like, kind of funny. Or maybe he's just designed like that just on purpose so that he can, you know, show his tattoos off, which, you know, why have such dope tattoos if you're not going to show them off? But yeah, from on camera view, you know, even the stoic head sculpt looks really good, but you can tell that the body shade of red on that scar and that tattoo is much darker on the head sculpt for some reason. So maybe on your copy it's not, but for some reason on camera it's picking up very much so that it's not the same color. But like in person it doesn't look that bad, but maybe now that I've noticed it, I'm never gonna not notice it. So hopefully it's not too bad, but it seems like at least the two head sculpts are matched the same color. So, you know, you can't really win. Maybe I thought one was going to be a closer shade. That doesn't look so bad, but that looks darker. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Comment below if you see it too. But really cool looking figure. And I guess now the only other thing I need to do is tie Mimir onto his belt and toss this bad boy into a couple of poses to see what he's capable of. Oh, right, everybody. We have One Toys God of War Ragnarok Kratos spinning around on the turntable for us here, just standing straight up and down just as he comes fresh out of the box. But I tied his knife and the bag of ashes to his belt, and I have the axe on his back just to complete the look. And then I have him spinning around holding Mimir's head like they are having a conversation and they are mincing words, maybe about Atreus or the journey they're going on, or maybe about Odin. Or perhaps Mimir is telling Kratos a story, and Kratos is holding his axe in the other hand. But then I have him still with his axe equipped in that hand, ready to go, but he has his big old shield attached to his left arm, and it's a retractable shield. But I think it looks best as the full shield, but the little clip goes on to the wrist gauntlet, and I didn't want to damage it, so that's why you don't see that clip in many of the shots here. But then I pulled out those blades of chaos, and Kratos has his screaming rage head sculpt, and the vein work on that looks really good, as like the veins are popping out on his forehead right in that scar. And the head sculpt itself looks really good, but for some reason my neck connector for this figure didn't work very well. And ever since I pulled the first head that was originally on the figure out of the box, now the neck connector doesn't work as well as it should, and I can't get either of the head sculpts to sit on there flush. So you have to take the head sculpt off to get the cape on, but it's clearly a little bit of a hassle here, because why is the neck connector, just from taking it off once, not working? And then I still have that screaming head sculpt on, but it's kind of just balancing on the neck because of that stupid neck connector. But Kratos has both hands on his axe out in front of him, and he's screaming like he's about to chop something up, or maybe hit Thor, or maybe chop up a bear or something. You never know what creature Kratos will run into in the wild. But then in his final pose here, I have just the stoic head sculpt on. The cape is over his shoulders with the black bear fur. He's got the Draupnir spear out in front of him with the red tassel flowing around it. He's got his axe in the other hand, Mimir tied to his belt, the blades of chaos down by his feet, you know? And really, I normally could complain that some of the bases that comes with these figures are too big. This one's almost too small because of how big Kratos is, you know, so he can't really pose on the base as much as you might want him to. But for the time being, you know, I don't think I'm going to be posing this figure too aggressively anyways, because of the pleather on his arms. You can't really bend those arms, and, you know, the big old chunky plastic around the waist. Not a whole lot of articulation, but the figure itself looks really good, and Kratos is a character I had to have in my collection. So I am definitely happy that I made this purchase. But now, you know, One Toys, if you want me to get more of your figures, maybe make an Atreus from God of War Ragnarok, or Odin, or Thor, and maybe I'll have to go cop those figures to put next to Kratos in my collection here. But for the time being, I'm going to toss him on the shelf with a couple of my other badass killers in my collection, and we'll show you guys what that means in a moment. But yeah, let's go toss this bad boy on the shelf and see what he's looking like over there. Oh, right, everybody. We got Kratos over here on the shelf looking mean, and I've tossed him in front of the Predator, slid them back just a little bit so that we have some room for him. So we got Scar Pred behind him there, and Feral Pred off to the left in front. Jon Snow, Season 8 Jon Snow from ThreeZero Toys. That figure will be unboxed tomorrow to symbolize the Night of the Seven Kingdoms season finale that should be coming out that night at 10 o'clock. So if this is coming out Saturday, that comes out tomorrow, Sunday, and Sunday night is when A Night of the Seven Kingdoms comes out, and there will be a breakdown coming for the finale episode, probably Monday or Tuesday, and all the rest of those episodes breakdowns are already out on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And Jon Snow there is a great figure, so also stay tuned tomorrow if you want to see his unboxing video and how that figure goes. And no base, unfortunately, but I think with the cape and the sword and like the knife and the dagger, I think he does pair up pretty nicely here with Kratos with the cape as well. And they're both kind of cloaked figures, both badass swordsmen. And yeah, he's got his axe and his spear, but he also has some dagger and swords down at the base there. And I also tucked his shield over there on the corner too, just to add some visual interest down by the base. You know, so if you're looking here, you don't just see a big white wall over here, you know, you're not just seeing that, you know. So as much as I can, I try to get stuff so I can have some interest on the base, you know, instead of having a big chunk of space there. I now have equally covering that, you know. But the collection is looking pretty good, and there's been a lot of interesting stuff unboxed recently.
and there should be a collection tour video coming very soon, so stay tuned for that, y'all. We're almost at 100 1/6 scale figures. I think this is like 93 and 94 maybe. So a few more weeks and we got a 100 figure collection tour video coming, and I can't wait to do that for y'all. And the collection has been really just beefing out lately, and all the different Hot Toys figures and some third-party figures, but mostly Hot Toys here, and some DC, some Marvel, some Legos still in here, but not for long, because I think we're going to have to eventually turn this room entirely into Hot Toys displays. And just, yeah, I'm flooded recently. Ooh, little sneak peek, that should be coming out in a couple weeks. Stay tuned for that, y'all. But this has been another unboxing from me. Kratos from One Toys. He looks really good. I quite like how the figure looks, and with the cape on, covering up most of that seam there on the right side, or on his left, our right though, and covering up that shoulder joint, you know, mostly completely seamless. And yeah, it looks friggin' awesome. Kratos has a mean looking head sculpt, and the veins in the forehead, the scar through the eye, the tattoo going over the head. Yeah, like, this character is just sick. And I can't wait to hear more about the Kratos show and the Kratos video game that should be coming soon. And, you know, they're remaking the original trilogy for God of War, so I can't wait to see more of this and hear more from it. But that's it for me, y'all. That's another Hot Toys figure unboxing. If you want to send me your thoughts about Kratos onto my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. And if you've made it this far into the video and you'd like to support the channel, the best way of doing that is dropping a like on the video, commenting down below, subscribing if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell, like I said, so you don't miss next week's figure unboxings and unboxings all through 2026 every weekend. So stay tuned, y'all, and I will see you gorgeous folks in the next video. Peace.